everybody, this is Bobby with bobbystamps.blogspot.com, and I'm going to show you how I made this cute Christmas card. I'm putting together some packets to send out to a few people, and this is one of the cards that I'm going to include in their packet. So I think this is called a gatefold card. It just opens, and I'm leaving it blank. I could have written a note inside, but I'm going to leave it blank so that way if they want to use it for a Christmas card and send it to somebody, they can. So I'm going to show you really quick the supplies. I already have, because I'm mass producing, I'm down to doing my last 3. So I already have everything already cut, but I am going to show you on another, I have another card idea that I'm going to do with this, and using the Tempting Turquoise. So I will show you how to cut the base of the card, because that's the most, it's not confusing, but it's the most like difficult thing apart of the card. So in the Christmas Pines, we're going to use a different sentiment this time. I'm going to use 'Tis the Season, and then we do use the snowflakes, and then I'm going to stick with the little snowman in the Christmas Magic stamp set. So that's where we're getting our stamps from. You're going to need Versamark. We're going to need Real Red ink. I'm going to use Wink of Stella, and this is the clear, and that's just to go lightly over the snowflakes. We are going to be using Emerald Envy, Real Red, and I believe this one is Tangerine Tango, yes, for the snowman's nose. So those are the markers that we're going to use, and this is the end color, so that's where the Emerald Envy one came out of. We're going to use the layering squares, and in the layering squares you use the largest one, and that is where we cut out our scalloped background right here. So for this I used Real Red cardstock. You'll need a piece of Whisper White cardstock cut at 4 and 5 1/4. You'll need another piece of Whisper White cardstock cut at 2 5/8 by 2 5/8. I've got 2 pieces of Emerald Envy, and these are cut at 1 1/2 by 5 1/4. Then I've got 2 pieces of the DSP from the Pines and Presents DSP pack, and these are cut at 1 1/4 by 5. And then we used a piece of Emerald Envy to cut, use the layering squares. And like I said, you use the largest one. But before we start putting the card together, I'm going to show you on my piece of Tempting Turquoise. So what you're going to do, it's really easy to do. Let me see if we need to back up a bit. Okay, so on your trimmer, you're going to take this to 7 3/4 is what we're going to do. So right about there. And we're just going to make sure we're all squared up over here. And you're just going to trim that little bit off. And then we're going to move it in to 1 3/4. Make sure you have it all lined up well. And you still leave it in this position here. You're going to score it at 1 3/4. And then we're going to move it over to 6. And just make sure you have everything all lined up. I always find that I'm crooked somewhere, so I always try to be very, very patient when I'm cutting and doing this stuff, because I notice that I do that quite a bit. And then you're going to turn it, and we're going to cut it then at 5 1/2. And that will get you 2 cards. So what you do then is you can just take your bone folder and fold over right where you just scored, and there you have it. So then you can just design it however you choose. So I'm just going to lay these over to the side, and we'll get started with our stamping real quick. And I'm going to use, you also need the Stays On Basic Black. I'm sorry guys, I forgot to mention that, because I'm doing a little bit of the markers, using the markers to color on that. I just want to color that in, or use that ink. So let me grab, this is my piece of 2 by 5/8 and 2 by 5/8. We're just going to lay that there. Now the way that I did it the first time, I wasn't going to do the snowflakes at first. I'd already stamped my snowman and stamped over him. So this time, I don't know, I'm just going to do it that way because it worked right. I was going to try it the opposite way, but I think I'm just going to keep with what worked the first time. So we're just going to ink them up. Make sure we have a lot of ink on them. And then I just kind of eyeballed it, but I wanted him right in the center. And pull up. I just love these images. Too stinking cute. Okay. So now that we have that done, we can go ahead and, I'm not going to put this away because I have 2 more cards before I'm finished. We'll go ahead and grab, I'm going to go ahead and let that dry just a little bit because I don't want to stamp immediately right over it. I don't think it'll hurt anything. I think it'll be fine, but why take the chance, right? So you can either use snail or Tombow. It's whatever you choose. But we'll go ahead, and I liked to lay mine this way when I was putting this on. If you choose to keep it folded this way because you think you can get it on straighter, more even, whatever, you can do that. But I just kind of thought it was easier to do it this way myself. Let me get this out of the way. So I'm just going to put a little bit of my Tombow on here. And this is what I like about Tombow. You can just reposition it if you need to. So we're going to do that, and then I'm just going to flip this one around, and we'll do the same thing. Doesn't take a lot of this because it's very strong glue. Okay, and that looks good. And then we can flip it this way just to make sure we have it like we want it. Everything's lining up good. Then we'll add our DSP. These cards go together really quick. And when you're mass producing, that's what you want to hear. So put that there. And then we'll lay this one here. Just hold it there a few minutes. Okay, now I think we can go ahead and do our embossing on this. So we'll just grab Versamark and we'll just stamp the snowflaked image from the Country Pine stamp set. And what I did was, I think I held it like that. It doesn't really matter. I mean, snow is falling as snow is falling, right? And then we're just going to push down, raise it straight up, and then we're using the white embossing powder. And again, if you guys follow me, you know I didn't use my embossing buddy. This one's kind of easy where you can see where you've stamped the images so you don't touch them. And that looks pretty good. Get that out of the way. I'm going to turn my heat tool on really quick and let it warm up just for a few seconds. This clear embossing powder is kind of harder to see when it changes. There you go, you can see it. And this heat tool gets really hot, so you want to really be careful with your fingers. I had a clothespin that I used, and I can't seem to find it since I redid my craft room. I need to relocate that, because that helped out a lot. Just make sure that you get all of them. Like we got them all. I'm just going to let that sit over there for just a second, and we'll move that over there too. We can go ahead and put in our piece of Whisper White, and you just kind of center it. You know, you have a little bit of a border around the outside edges where you can see the red. It's not a very tight fit at all in there. So we'll just line this up. And that looks good. So I'm just going to close that up. Now if you want to, we can just lay this right here and go ahead and stamp our sentiment. And I was looking at my sentiment. It's going to be a little bit longer, and it may not actually fit. Let me see what I think. Yeah, I'm just going to stick with the one I used, because that one I think is just going to be a tad bit long, and I don't want to mess it up. So we'll just go back to using the one in the Christmas Magic, and it says Merriest Wishes. This one will probably fit, but what I don't want is this like it is hanging over the card, so I'm just not going to take that chance. Move that out of the way, and I'll get my stamp on there straight if I can. Okay, so we'll grab our Real Red, and then I'm just going to kind of lay that where I think I'm going to want it. We'll ink this up in Real Red. Now I will tell you a secret that we should have done was we shouldn't have adhered the piece of Whisper White down yet, because if we mess up or get ink on there that we don't want, then we could have flipped it over. But that turned out really good, so I'm fine with that. It looks like I had a little piece of hair that might have got on there, but it's so not noticeable that I'm not even going to worry about it. Okay, so then we'll move back over to this, and what I did with the Emerald Envy, I used the smallest point on the pen, or on the marker, I guess it's not a pen, and we color in the green on the hat. And then I took the Real Red. On all of these I used the fine tip. I just colored those little dots of holly in. Oh, and we did red on the gloves, I almost forgot. And then we're going to use the Tangerine Tango, and we're just going to do his nose. Like that. Now I took the Wink of Stella, and I just lightly went over each dot in each snowflake just to make it glisten. This is such a subtle, the snowflakes are just so subtle, oh my gosh, I can't talk, that you can barely see them. So I just kind of felt like the glitter just kind of helped it pop just a little bit. You can kind of leave it like that. And then I'm going to go back in with, I think I'm going to use, I didn't notice this before, but I did not trying to think. I want to color his scarf. I think I'm going to go... with, I think this should be Night of Navy, Pacific Point. So I think I'm just going to use that to color the scarf. I didn't even notice that I didn't even color that on the other card, so I'll have to go back and color that in. You don't have to color it in. It's such a pretty stamp set without it being colored. Like I said, it didn't even stand out to me that I didn't color it until just now. Okay, so with this we're going to use the Tombow. You can use snail if you want. I'm just going to use my Tombow because it's what I have out. And then we're just going to center it on the piece of Emerald Envy, like so. Just trying not to push down too much because I don't have the Wink of Stella's not dry yet. Okay, flip it over, and I'm just going to put 2 dimensionals at the top. You don't want to put them anyplace else other than the top, or your card won't open, because we're going to stick it there like that. Okay, peel those off, bring this in, and then you just line it up where you want it to be, how far in you want to move it. And there you go, guys. That's the one we just did, and this is the one I did without coloring the scarf. You just need to be careful, like when you're coloring the scarf in the end of the nose, if it's someplace where you've put the snowflakes, it's going to, you can kind of see like right there. So you just want to be mindful of that when you're coloring them in. So if you want details on how to make this card, you can visit my blog, guys. Thanks. God bless.